Hi, friends. Welcome to my live interview with experts. And today I will be interviewing Nina Kundi, who is a relationship coach based out of the UK. Oh, hold on. She's popping in now. Nina just has to join the live interview. And hold on, everyone. Here she's. Just a moment. Fantastic. Have some patience. She's coming on. Yay! Hi, Nina.
Hello, how are you?
Fantastic. I was starting our brief introduction, then I'm going to hand it over to you. So, everyone, Nina is a relationship coach based out of the UK, and she offers courses for couples as well as individuals. And today we're talking about how to love yourself more. And then, Nina, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
So I started relationship coaching about 2.5 years ago. I've been a coach for about 19 years, helping with women in two different sectors, really. One being the sexual well-being sector, and the other one being building businesses. So my passion came for relationships when I kind of enhanced my own relationship. So I was going through a lot of emotional attachments through past trauma that I'd experienced. And because I healed that, I fell in love with the journey so much that I just wanted everybody else to experience the journey too. And it's been brilliant. So I help people to build stronger relationships with themselves and with other people.
I love it. So we'll go, as you know, a lot of my audience is in that perimenopause or postmenopause time of their lives. So I want to go into the first question, which I think I know the things, but as a coach, what you experience is what are some of the very common emotional feelings about themselves that women go through during perimenopause, menopause period of time?
I would say the most common one is being irritated because they are tired, they are exhausted, they are having hot flushes, they feel unworthy, they feel emotional because they don't feel attracted, from a personal point of view, not from their partner's point of view, but they feel like they just don't know how to handle the fact that their body is changing. And because of that, it is draining. It's draining on their self-worth. So, most of the time people, they come to me and it is more about that love that they have for themselves. And because they very rarely have the strength to communicate it with their partner, they feel alone while they're going through it. And, it's about understanding that they're not alone. As women, we all get to this. We're all going to go through it at some point in our life. And it's really nice to be able to talk to them and to start building back that self-worth. But I would say irritable and alone is probably the most common ones.
And then in going, I guess with that also makes people feel, like you said, unattractive and just not like themselves. I'm kind of jumping the gun, some other questions. So it's hard to get out of that kind of dark pit that we dig for ourselves. And what are some of the strategies or tools that you advise people when you're going through that, where it feels like you have no control over what's going on in your body and how you feel about it?
Well, believe it or not, because of the estrogen and I can never pronounce this word, the progesterone that we have inside us, because that is decreasing, then what actually happens with that, then that actually causes the body temperature to explode, hence the reason why we feel the hot flushes. But along with that, we also suffer with anxiety. We also suffer with that feeling of overwhelm. And it's really, really important that we take that time out to rest and recharge. So the very first strategy that I ever do with any of the ladies that work with me is to organize a balanced lifestyle. Because as women, we are often spinning so many plates that when we do get that overwhelming feeling or we are feeling a little bit anxious, we don't tend to stop. we push through, and then we start to feel that fatigue. And then again, it's just like, I always call it, it's like a hamster wheel. We end up then with low ability, and we start to have that internal self-critic then. But once we get that balance routine, that structured routine where we are allowing time in there for self-care, because it's really important that when we do start to suffer with the symptoms of menopause or even perimenopause, that we understand that it's okay to take time out and have those physical boundaries where we say, no, hang on a minute, I can't do all of this. And then it's things like exercise. And I mean, as you said, you're a strength coach yourself. Exercise is really, really good for us, as well as eating a healthy diet, plenty of water. But mainly it's about those organization skills. Once we've got a structured day to day, and we can manage what we're doing, and we're not feeling as much overwhelmed, then we can start tapping into some of those other emotions like anxiety, the feeling where, you just go off sex, your sex drive reduces massively. And, even with the estrogen that we lack in our bodies, that causes the vaginal dryness. And there's not much we can do about that, but women take it to heart. But then communication is a massive strategy that we work on, because we have to be comfortable and be able to communicate what's going on inside our bodies with our partners if we have them. Because, and especially when it comes into the bedroom department, we want to make sure that what is experienced and what is happening to us, they understand it, and they don't
Mhm.
also then take it from a personal point of view. Because many couples have come to me in the past, and it's like, she's gone off me, she doesn't like me anymore. And it's like, no, she does, she just doesn't express it in the way that she used to. So, communication is a massive part of going through the menopause, because in a way that helps you to not feel alone.
I really like how you're giving that example. I think how for a couple, because let's say the woman's going through physical changes, and so she's not feeling great, and then her partner might feel like, oh, something's going on. It's me. It's something's wrong with our
Yeah,
relationship.
yeah.
With I know you can't. You're not going to name names, but can you give examples so that people understand? Uh, a case study of what someone what one partner
Yeah,
might have
sure,
felt,
yeah.
and then like some of the
So
words that were used so people understand that they're not alone.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had one lady in particular that came to me because she had a lack of sex drive, and she really just didn't want her partner to touch her anymore. And she, every time he came near, she exploded. Her body heat was horrific. She couldn't bear being touched, and he really took it personally, because he thought, to the point of that, she was having an affair, and that, and she didn't feel worthy enough to have this conversation with him, and she couldn't get her words out. She couldn't express to him that she felt less womanly, and that, she didn't feel attractive. And even though he may have still seen her in the same light, which he did, we don't look at it from that point of view, because we only see it from our own eyes and our own experiences. So she came to me with lack of sex drive, and straight away we hit the nail on the head. And a lot of it was down to self-worth. So we worked together for quite some time, building that self-worth back up again, getting her to love the person that she is right now, going through the menopause, not just the person she was before it started. Because it's really important to understand we're changing, and our body's changing for a reason. And that reason is that we're coming to the end of our cycle. It doesn't mean to say we're not the same person and we're not as sexy as we were. We're just not able to produce babies anymore. So, in a way, it's a new lease of life, because you've done all your maternal, and now you're opening up into something that's going to be much more unique that you can share with your partner. And there are ways of getting that sex drive back. One of the issues she found was that she would never initiate anything. But then because she would never initiate anything, when he initiated it, she was fuming because she felt like he was mithering her constantly for sex. And then that then turned into annoyance. That then turned into, well, actually, I don't even want to sleep in the same bed as you because every time I get into bed, you expect something to happen. And that's where the element of communication has to come in, because all of that can be avoided by just saying, look, this is where I'm at right now. This is how I feel. And not only that, I've had it. I mean, I'm perimenopause and, I have the symptoms where, and I don't mind sharing this, that, you just think, oh, can't be bothered. Do you know what I mean? There's no urge to rip their pants off, and and that urge goes away. It doesn't mean to say if they initiate it that I'm not, if my partner initiates it, I'm not going to want it. But I don't have that oomph in me anymore like I had 10 years ago. So, it's really important that you talk to each other about it.
I love the examples that you're giving because it also shows that sometimes what's going on in the relationship is, or not even sometimes, it all comes back to how you're feeling about yourself and
Absolutely.
how attractive you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
And when you go
Yeah,
through these
definitely.
hormonal changes, it can be hard, especially because I know it's very common for a lot of women to gain weight during this time period. And it makes them feel like, what happened to my old body? What happened to my
Yeah.
old self? I want that back. And again, can feel a little out of control and frustrating. Um,
And another thing is the
mhm,
fatigue. The fatigue is real. Yeah. And, when you've had a hard day and you've been spinning all them plates, whether you've been looking after the children, you've been working all day, you come home, you're making tea. By the time 10 o'clock comes, you're snoring. You're not in the mood for anything else. And, it's about that. That's why I put it in place there. It's really important to have those physical boundaries, to
mhm.
have time out where you are concentrating on self-care for yourself and that love for yourself so that you are recharging your battery, because quite often we forget about that, and it's one of the most important things.
You, what you're saying is also pointing out that it's also not necessarily related to this only happens to someone who's going through this age and this hormonal change. You can be someone with younger kids, but also always taking care of the kids and have those same similar feelings.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Mm,
sometimes the feeling like you're doing everything. Um, Whether it's fair or not fair, it does make affect your relationship with your partner in terms of you feel you don't have time for yourself, and it's really
yeah.
hard to
Yeah.
necessarily get in the mood
Mm,
if your mind is always on I gotta do this, I gotta do that, and I just took care of all this all day. So
yeah. Yeah.
I know it can feel, as we're discussing this in terms of age, hormones, and just relationship. We're painting a picture that this is understandable. Can you go over something? I guess maybe more specifically, besides the self care, how one can the positive parts of like, okay, so this is going on, but this is going to make our relationship stronger. By if we do X, Y, and Z, it just helps our communication.
Yeah, so when we bring couples together, especially, it's about, I mean, one of the things that I teach is about being able to explain your needs and your wants, but without causing blame or conflict within the relationship. So, we call that non-violent communication, and it's all about, not using blaming words or any judgment. But what we absolutely need to do is we need to, when the couple is together, I put them in activities that where they're going to be spending time together. Intimacy is not just about sex. And that's one of the main things that I teach, because, just sitting together, being in the moment together, sharing that space together, being able to have time together, because quite a lot of the time we don't put ourselves as a couple first. We don't. I mean, I'm an avid fan of date nights and date days, but in order to bring the connection back, to have that deeper intimacy, you've got to start communicating. You've got to have that connection with each other. So what I normally do is I set them activity based, so that they can go away and they can do something together, whether that be that they share. a story that, you know, they would never have spoke about, so that they can start to connect internally and start to have that communication and be open to being vulnerable with each other. But the other thing is as well, is that they, you know, intimacy starts with having a bath, you know, getting the candles out, having a massage, you know, just spending that time together as a couple. So there's loads of different strategies that we can do. We can do, you know, activity-based ones. We do a lot of talking, a lot of communicating, getting them together to express their wants and needs and feelings together online, where I can obviously moderate that and, you know, help and assist with that communication. But one of the main things is that quite often we do take things personally. And when we are in that mood, that hormonal mood, we very much snap quite quickly. So it's about putting a technique in place where you can literally breathe for 5 minutes and remember that the person you're talking to is actually somebody that you love, and you don't necessarily really want to snap at them, because that's just going to cause conflict into the relationship. With regards to like the menopause and the sex drive, all of that will come back, and there are different ways of doing it. I've had a couple work with me before where we've introduced sex toys, and sex toys have been able to enhance that relationship, and they've been able to bring the intimacy back, and eventually the sex drive has come back as well.
Thank you. You made me think of one question as you're talking about how we feel and then how that affects a relationship. Can we go, I guess, a step back? The idea that when people feel, or women feel unattractive or you know, upset about their body, can you talk about how that's really not just about your body? Like how it's not just, oh, my
Yeah,
body sucks.
it's no. I mean, it's all about our mindset at the end of the day, and it's about putting in, you know, really starting to build a positive identity of yourself. So, you know, by working on, you know, looking at a lot of the time, we always think about what we're not instead of what we are. So being able to change that vision, you know, a lot of people see menopause as something that, you know, they need to be scared of, or, you know, this is a transition that everybody goes through. But when we create that positive identity and they start to believe that, yes, they are that person still. Okay, their body's not acting the way they want it to act at the moment, but up here is still the same. You know, we need to bring the positivity out of them. So we do things like, we'll use affirmations for example. So, you know, having that strong affirmation, being able to look in a mirror. I've had ladies in the past who wouldn't even buy a mirror because they
Oh,
didn't like what they saw on the other side. So, you know, working with them to change the mindset around how they feel. And I always say, if we change the meaning, we change the feeling.
mm,
And, you know, we can do that with anything, to be fair, Tina. It's brilliant because we attach our own personal meaning to what it is that we see or feel. But if we change the meaning, then we can change the feeling of the whole scenario and the whole aspect of it. But yeah, with regards to self-love, you know, affirmations, you know, being able to change that language from a negative language to a positive absolutely helps. We're very, very good at criticizing ourselves, and we're very good at speaking that negative language. You know, even when we wake up in the morning, ugh, straight away we have that feeling, but we need to be able to change that and say, no, hang on a minute, today's not the day for that. I'm going to have a fabulous day today. And, you know, really being positive about having this transition. Some people fly through the menopause, and that's absolutely brilliant. For other people, you know, it can be you know, a challenging process for them, but it doesn't need to be as challenging as it seems. We can make it a little bit more comfortable for them.
Nina, I'm hung up on that phrase, change the meaning and you'll change the feeling. In terms of what you're saying, going through, if someone's going through something difficult, like whether it's menopause or anything, can you give a specific example of like, if you were going through a difficult menopause transition, what would it mean to change the meaning for you so that it changes your feeling?
So, for example, if, I mean, I've had hot flushes before, I use humor a lot humor gets me by, and it's brilliant. So, for example, when we have hot flushes and, we feel like ripping our clothes off. I mean, I always call them senior moments. I'm having a senior moment. Yeah. Now, because I make a joke out of it, it kind of lightens the mood. So if we change the meaning of something, we can change the feeling. And quite
Okay.
often the analogy I use for this to explain it a little bit deeper is, here in the UK, we have a lot of rain, and rain makes people miserable. But if you had rain in a third world country, rain to them was wonderful because it helps them to grow their crops. So we all have a different scenario on a different take on certain things. So even with the menopause, it's a case of, you know what? I created a word many, many years ago, and I love that I can share it on here. So I created a word through humor called driffany. And I used to speak to a lot of women about driffany. And Tina, what it actually means is I've got a dry fanny. But it was just a posher way of saying it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it made the ladies feel more comfortable
Uh-huh.
being able to explain what was going on. So we'd be like,
Dripping.
oh, have you got a bit of driffany going on there? And they were like, yeah, yeah. But the thing is, because we added humor to it, it didn't seem as harsh as what it was, and it broke the ice. So then
Yeah.
people would explain what was going on. And the other thing is we could tap into that then, and we could provide a solution for these people. And so again, change the meaning, change the feeling.
You're making me think of that's actually a tactic used when you have insomnia. So, like at night when it's hard to sleep, we get caught up in like, oh my God, I'm not going to sleep. I'm going to be exhausted tomorrow. I might get dementia if I don't never sleep. And one of the tactics is to almost look at the emotions as an external, almost like these are characters of a play. Like, oh, here comes anxiety again. Oh,
Yeah.
here we go. Worries on stage too. So that's like very some like almost being a looking at it very objectively
Yeah,
rather than
you like
being,
observing it rather than being part of it. Yeah.
yeah,
And the
yeah.
thing is, humor is something that we all connect with.
Hmm.
And when we do make light of it. So for example, and I'm going to share a personal story if I may.
Hmm.
So every night I am an emotional well-being coach, and I have a wonderful balance of my emotions, and I'm a very calm person. But every now and then I might just snap. And my partner says to me, oh, is that the meno? And I say, yeah. And he goes, okay. And off he goes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I've had that discussion with him that, listen, if I blow for any reason, please don't take it personally, because I'm a calm person. I wouldn't blow for just nothing.
yeah.
So then we've called it the meno.
The
And then that
mental.
way, yeah. So, we know, or I'll say to him, oh, just ignore me. It's the meno. Yeah. So, we make light of the situation, and it
Yeah,
helps us and guides us through.
I love it. I love it. And then my last question is there anything you'd like to talk about that you see often with clients outside of something that we might have talked about where women might need a little bit more guidance in terms of their relationship with herself or with their partner?
I think I work a lot with women with regards to the relationship with their self, and I have developed a program, which is awesome. So it's called Loving Yourself More. And it's 14 different topics all around how to build up that self-worth and self-esteem. One of the main things I would come across is people pleasing. And you
Yep.
find this within single people as well as within people in couples. And, not just with regards to running around doing things for their partner, but also with regards to finances as well. So I have a lot of couples that come to me and say, well, I have to pay for everything. And I'm like, well, stop. Do you know what I mean? So, but we quite often people please. And that is obviously a trait, from a past relationship, maybe that they've carried through into this relationship, or they're still living the past in the present.
Mhm.
And, quite often they're too scared to say no to people because they're worried about how that person is going to look at them.
Mm.
Well, you know what? don't worry about it, because if that person turns away from you because you say no, then that person doesn't deserve to be in your life. And that's what we've got to think about. Our true people, our true tribe are going to love us no matter what we do. So we often put other people's emotional needs before the needs of ourselves. But it's absolutely crucial that we are our number one priority.
Ooh, I love ending on that note. We are our number one priority. Nina, thank you so much for this live interview. And I
Oh,
think
no, it's a pleasure.
anyone who's watching can see that to find her at Nina Kundi Coaching. And I'll
Yeah,
post this interview so that everyone has access in case they missed it. Thank you so much.
amazing, amazing, lovely. Take care, my love. See you
All
soon.
right, bye.
Bye, 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 bye.